opens the floor for nominations for a chairperson for the upcoming year. So at that point, I'll
if it's not right and things are approved, then they can come back and be unapproved.
The floor is open for chairperson. I'll take nominations.
I'll nominate Barry.
Alright, so I have a nomination for Darren Suggs. Any other nominations? I close the floor for nominations. All in favor of Darren Suggs as chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it 6-0. Mr. Suggs, it is now your meeting.
Okay, take nominations from the floor for a vice chair. I nominate, a motion for Barbara. A second. Okay, do I have any other nominations from the floor? Okay, we gotta have either a nomination or a second.
Josh. I'll nominate Josh.
Motion for Josh. Okay, do I have a second for either one of the
Second
nominations?
Josh.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for Josh as vice chair. Okay. If I'm correct, have any other motions for vice chair, or is it second? And we vote on that. Okay. That being said, we call for the vote. All those in favor of Josh as vice chair, signify by raising your right hand.
Vote for yourself.
Vote for yourself.
Vote for yourself.
All those opposed, likewise, right hand. The motion's 3-2. Is there not a vote, Barbara?
I didn't know I would vote. It doesn't matter either way.
It's
Josh
3-2.
is voting for himself, you can vote for yourself if you
Yeah.
choose that.
And then you got a tie, and nobody will break
Yeah,
it.
so to confirm, the vote for Josh is vice chair, he's the right hand again. So it's 3. Those opposed, right hand. Still vote for 2 not vote.
Josh is vice
Motion
chair.
carries. Josh?
So, that being said, my understanding will be Darren, Josh, Lee. You been here longer, or? So Mr. Winslow, you'll be right here.
I said, you want to be that question, honey?
More complicated.
No, you don't have anything to apologize for. Do your thing.
Have a good day.
No.
Where'd you put right here? I will on your left, to your right, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, left. We'll be right here, right?
Well, there was no meeting.
not.
Yeah, there was no meeting. I was thinking to say something. Richard Joyner.
Don't you memorize every voice at me.
I know, right?
Not today.
Miss Kelly.
Actually, down here. We can go that in opposite.
He is. That's not for real, Josh.
This is the first time.
Just so if anybody wonders, Robert's Rule of Order actually establishes a sitting order for chair, person on your right is your vice chair, longest serving member on the board outside, back and forth. That's what we're trying to kind of establish.
Robert's rules we can agree on.
I'm sorry?
Robert's rules we can agree on. Even though they're written like stereo instructions, I hate them, but we can agree on them.
I just want to say from District 4, congratulations, Josh.
Do we swear him in or anything?
We still left 1, 2, 3.
You got one more to go.
Oh, what is name?
Where do we stand with, that?
March the 4th, I think, applicants, March 4th, and make a decision.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an agenda in front of us, I think everybody should have a copy of it.
Mr. We get an invocation first?
I'm sorry?
Can we get an invocation?
You're right. Richard, you said, do you mind getting an invitation? Thank you.
board, pray that you direct us, that you lead us, guide us, and help us to make the right decisions for the county. We want to pray for our men and women in service, pray that you watch over and protect them. And that's not all we ask you to do for ladies.
Thank you, sir. All right, now I have approval for the agenda. Any changes or corrections or additions to add? Have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's a, okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None noted. Approval of the previous minutes of November 21st. Now, there were two copies sent out. One was corrected, showing the approval of the meeting with a 5-0 vote. The other one showed a 0-0 vote. So if we've got corrected minutes of November 21st, any changes, corrections, or deletions of any kind? Have a motion to accept?
Jamie, that's it. Jamie. I didn't print it, I read it. but I didn't print it.
the whole packet or just the agenda?
Give me the whole thing. You got one, Joe?
It's a good question.
Have them on there, so they have so much paper. That all will cost us the paper, I think. Okay. Okay, minutes, the, correct minutes, if you actually look at the approval of agenda, it should show a motion approved 5-0, not a 0-0. So that's, you have any changes, corrections? A motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None being? All right.
In regards to signing the minutes, each one of y'all are present here tonight, each one of y'all are attesting that those minutes were approved at this meeting. That's what the signature represents, not that you were present at the last meeting, or not that, anything other than y'all are attesting the meeting minutes were approved tonight.
So if someone who wasn't here or on the board, they still would sign them as approved.
We are present here tonight that those meetings minutes were approved tonight.
All right. Well, you,
Josh, sorry I did it to you, bro.
All right, next item on the agenda, we're getting the last signature, is a public hearing, a special exception for Mr. Thomas Wellman. And, Mr. Watson, you mind bringing us up to speed?
All right, P&Z Board, Mr. Wellman, has applied to place a manufactured home at 506 Olive Grove Church Road, map number C007, parcel 00808. This property is formerly known as the Galtley property out at the intersection of Olive Grove and US Highway 80 West. A quick note, in addition to trying to get the agendas out at least a week ahead of time, the agendas are also now on the P&Z website, and as well as copies of the minutes and so forth. So in your free time, if you want to look up and see what's coming down the pipeline or what have you, it'll be posted a week ahead of time. But the property in question is this tract of land here, as it is approximately 15.2 acres. Mr. Wellman has stated that the new manufactured home will be located more so towards the middle of the property and will not be viewable from the road. The makeup of the area is very, very rural. It's majority timber property out here. There is one house as you turn off Highway 80 and come down, as you turn off of Highway 80 and come down Olive Grove. Once you pass Mr. Wellman's property, there are 3 manufactured homes along the right-hand side of the road. and they vary in age. So the makeup of the area is a mixture of manufactured homes as well as site-built homes. As mentioned, Mr. Wellman did state that it would be a new manufactured home. And let me,
Is this the website where the minutes will be?
that's correct.
Thank you.
Manufactured homes are allowable in RCD districts. Through special exception, there are no specific guidelines for the RCD district, like with the R1AG, there's some additional guidelines. But all of the standards for manufactured homes have been explained to Mr. Wellman, and he understands the masonry foundation, the minimum deck size, so forth and so on. So everything will adhere to those standards. The property that's in question is immediately adjacent to an RAG. As mentioned, this tract of land is part of the Gottlieb property that used to include the store up on the corner. So I think, this is my belief, that if this property would have been in separate parcels like it is today, back when that RCD got tagged to it, this part of Olive Grove Church Road would be in RAG district.
Commercial.
But this whole tract of land right here is what recently just got subdivided. Now, you got a 7-acre tract here, 5-acre tract here, and as mentioned, Mr. Wellman is 15.2. Do have Mr. Wellman in attendance tonight, so at that point, trying to go to the board, or if Mr. Wellman has anything he would like to add.
So Jake, what district would I be in when I move out there?
District 1.
I'll volunteer to be one of those, whatever it is I need to be. How's that? I mean, I've been the president of HOA, I've been PTO president and everything else in the past, so that wouldn't be any big deal. This is my wife, Wing, and, when I turned 75 last year, I realized I was older than most of the old folks I was talking about, and I thought, you know what, I need to change something in my life. And I thought, I'd like to live my last 25 years in the woods. So what I was looking for was a cabin in the woods. And you know what? There's a lot of rules and regulations that weren't around 50 years ago when I built my last house. And that's what I'm finding out. Jake's been real helpful in trying to straighten me out. But right now, the way it looks like, a manufactured home would be the quickest, easiest to hide back there, a cabin in the woods. I just want a 1-bedroom is all I'm looking for. And so that's what I was thinking about doing. And I look forward, we live in Warner Robins right now. We look forward to moving out into the country. She's a city girl, she's never been in the country before, so this ought to be interesting.
My question is, and just looking for the county as well, is that mobile homes, they depreciate more than they earn an equity. So why not try and get a stick built?
Well, I actually had a guy out there today that is a builder. The cost.
Yeah.
The cost.
Because the reason I say that is
I'm retired
now
now.
that's currently building a house that, and it's a massive house, of course, they're building just under $150 a square foot, and that includes their septic tank and well. So the single bedroom, I would think you could get it built about the same price you can a single one, because I've priced these out, and they're about $108 a square foot on a
So
single
let me
one.
know who's doing the work and I'll get them to give me a price.
Because the only problem I see is that 10 years down the road,
Yeah.
the tax evaluation on it now versus 10 years, and you compare that to a house, the county's not gonna make as much tax money off of it, and that's what we're looking at, because, in 25 years, you get ready to sell it, if somebody sells it for you,
Yeah.
The sell value is fair market value, which.
25 years, I'll be 100 years old, I won't care, will I?
Well, you're but the county.
Other people would.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Yeah.
but the mobile home manufactured home, they deliver this, set up faster than a build from the state build, whatever the name it is. It takes shorter time to move in, get
Yeah.
ready faster. We want to enjoy our life sooner than farther than.
What if we did something to where we gave you a timeline, like you put that out there, and you get 2 years to build a house, and in 2 years, once your house is built, you gotta have the mobile home moved off the property.
Well, once I put the mobile home out there, I'd rather just live in it,
Yeah.
you know, I mean.
That's just
And like I said, it
what we're
won't
trying
show,
to do.
it won't show, the lady that owns the, I think, 7 acres to the east of me there, I spent the day out there with her daughter today, showing her where her property lines were, cause she didn't know where they were. And, I've been talking to her, and she's interested in what happens here too, and, that neighbor at least is, you know, great with what I've asked.
I have two questions.
Go ahead, I got one after
First,
she's
first
done.
one for Jay. The mobile homes that are around, are they double or are they single?
Double wide.
So you're moving in a single, right?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the cheapest I can get, really.
I also noticed in the paper here that it's a HUD house, which means it's a foreclosure house.
No,
No?
no,
On
no,
the paperwork we got
Brand
here,
new.
it says HUD.
I didn't put that. Oh, that was an ad I got for the house, but I'm not
So we
getting
don't
it.
have the,
I'm not
we
doing
don't
a
have
HUD
the
house,
diagram for the house?
ma'am.
We don't have anything, we
Yeah,
have
so
to.
that's a sample floor plan.
That's a sample,
Sample plan?
So,
yeah.
for clarification, all manufactured homes are certified through HUD.
Through HUD, yeah.
The way the inspection process that is handled for a manufactured home, you know, they're inspected in a panel, in a factory, and that inspection is a HUD inspector. So they qualify for HUD financing and so forth like that. So that's, I'm assuming that's what the recognition of HUD is on there.
Yeah, and the mobile home dealers, they won't sell me a home until I get approval from you guys. See, so I had to go this route first. I tried to put money down on a house so I'd have the exact house, and they said they couldn't hold it for me like that, and waiting for the meeting, you know.
One last question for both of you. Are you in real estate?
No,
You do what you do?
No.
Okay.
I'm a retired teacher. I was director of correctional education for the state of Georgia. I've been in every prison in Georgia, and they let me out. And the governor still does my program in every in the prisons in Georgia.
Jake, anybody against it out there?
Nobody contacted.
I have a question.
Brandon's got a question. Before we, I'd like
I have
the board to ask all
a question, too.
questions, we'll go to public input, and we will get to that. Brandon, you had a question?
Jake, so the resident, go back to the other map, please. That RAG, any other part of the county, they're allowed to have mobile homes, correct?
That's correct.
So in this instance, what we're trying to dictate is if we're gonna change that one RCD to allow mobile homes that are allowed in the county in that zone area, correct?
Precedent.
One part.
For that one parcel, right? So same as I did, going from industrial to residential to build my home in the city, right? Cause we're not up here to be the peacekeepers of everything. Our job up here is strictly to follow what the planning, zoning guidelines are. We're not the police, we're not none of that. So the question should be, do we want to rezone it and take away the commercial side of it and allow them to put a mobile home? We shouldn't have the restrictions on whether it's a single, double, triple, anything else, correct?
So the RCD is defined by community development. It wasn't necessarily commercial development. It was to take an area and say a variety of uses would be allowed. So whether it was site-built homes, manufactured homes, light residential, light commercial, or so forth, that it would be an area that would kind of be a mixed use almost. And that, as mentioned earlier, that had that tract of land been split up 20 years ago, the RCD would have only been up on the Highway 80 corridor, down on Olive Grove Church Road, where this tract is, all this would have been RAG, and tonight would have been a mute point.
Right.
And so, you know, and that, I think the thing to not overlook is the location on the property of where Mr. Wellman has stated that the home would go, and that's where they've already done their septic tank evaluation. And if you ride down Olive Grove, you're not gonna see this home back there, so the impact.
It's where there's a hill going up.
But is that our job, to know if we can see it or not from the road? If it's zoned residential, they can put a mobile home on there is how it's stated, right?
So I think the concern is the impact of, you know, the taxation and so forth like that. You know, I'm not sure if it's fair to use that as a qualifier, so to speak, as far as the placement of the home and the allowance. But in regards to, it is a residential, and manufactured homes are one of those home types that was envisioned to go there. I think the question should be, when you look at the area, what do you see the area being developed into in the next 5 years, 7 years? As Mr. Wellman states, the neighbor is already looking to see how tonight goes and how the board, the commissioners ultimately votes on this. You know, but you have a pocket of land that's being subdivided, and now the first home that's going out there is a manufactured home. Now, next door is a manufactured home, so, you know,
But if we wanna build a subdivision out there that's stick built, they're not gonna want that single line
Right.
around the community, you know, like that.
My understanding is all the lots have been sold, and, the young man behind me, I've already met him, he's starting to clear a lot, I don't know what he's gonna put there. And then the lot next to him on 80, they're starting to clear, they've got a big cleared area. And then there's a lady next to me, and she's gonna do kinda like what I'm doing, and then I don't know about the last lot next to her. But,
you got
I've got the biggest parcel out there.
10,000 acres on that road
Yes.
that's zoned for manufactured homes that, you know.
Jake, can we go back to that slide you just had up? The one that you had before that.
what
The
was
one
it?
that actually
The
showed
one that had the
current zoning.
zoning
This one?
with the letters on it,
That's what's got the actual,
R-AG and R-CD.
you just
The
had
map
it
that
up.
had it.
I think it's the chart that he's talking about.
Yeah.
When you say,
It showed the other lots RAG, and then it showed this one with the RCD.
You just had it zoomed down.
Almost like.
There you go, there you go.
To me, what I'm seeing is that, as Jake has mentioned, that when that was a large tract of land, it was already connected to Highway 80. So a commercial district seems pretty logical to be put along the highway. The intent seems to be more what the RAGs were down here, for that road to be an RAG all the way up until you get to part of the lot that touches Highway 80. So residential seems to be much more what's appropriate for the road, not commercial. So I think we need to actually look at what was the intent of the zoning for that road, not what it actually was because of the size of the lots. And when you start dividing properties up into smaller lots, they completely change the characteristic. They're not, that's not a commercial lot for a commercial operation, to me. And what I see, it really should be more either the RAG or the one AG along that section of road, not the CD that goes all the way up to the highway. So to stay in harmony with what I think, what I see as the intent of the zoning and originally would be the RAG or the R1 AG, which would change what would go in that area. The next thing I would say that really is concerning is, with all that subdividing going up, the size of the lots, it's really becoming a mobile home, manufactured home subdivision. Am I the only one that sees that as an issue of being a subdivision that's on individual lots?
Then it becomes a trailer park at that point. So we don't need that. I'm looking at the long run of, you know, the depreciation, the way that they look and it's starting to fall apart versus a stick build.
I see a lot of
You get
houses
bigger.
built.
And it's also better for them because they get bigger tax credits, they get better financing for it, you know, it's like, I'm in the process of trying to build something, and they're saying, well, we would give you this, but we can't because of what's next to you here and there, and so it brings down your property value.
And what you're thinking too is they're putting in a single wide, not a double wide.
Well, even the double, it's still a manufactured home under the banking and the government, like, they'll give you a tax break up front, but in 10 years from now, because you're not gonna get the energy efficient, because at that point, you're using more power to keep your house heated, and at that point, the government and the county is losing money on both ends.
I 100% agree that we need to have a rule and something in place in this county to restrict overdevelopment with mobile homes. 100%. I think it's case by case, and tax money wise, you know, I see some points on that. But I don't know where we benefit by every time one comes in here, we fight it and try to kick it out. If it's, obviously they bought 15-acre tract of land, and I mean, I don't expect people on this board to agree with me. I'm vocal, I'm very different than most, but I do agree that people, if they're in the right zoning, should be able to put a home that they can afford and have on their property. I own my land, I don't want any of y'all telling me what to put on my land. Now, that leads to a whole nother problem that we can get into and debate for weeks and weeks and weeks by just riding on certain roads in Crawford County and looking what we allow and what's there. If we really, you know, that leads to the code enforcement officer, Jake, that I'll talk about that we need to work on. But I mean, Darren, what's your thought on? I was really going to appoint, nominate you anyway for chair for a reason because of your knowledge with this position. But I would like to know where everybody stands on this board with this.
That's a 2-hour conversation.
No, we can brief it down. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
there's
look where it lands at, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but there is a lot of things we have to factor into that we don't really, we're not here to debate all of this tonight. We've got one item we're trying to address, but it is a long-running issue that we have to look at as a county.
For sure.
And part of, to me, what I'm seeing is the intent of that road and where these properties are on that road. The intent was not a RCD, definitely not a CD. And so for this one particular project, I just don't feel like.
Something else I might mention, I spent $6,000 for perk test, or whatever they call it now, soil sampling, right? They were able to find me a 1-bedroom perk out of 14 holes. That's a big rock right there that goes down. And so somebody building a big house out there right now, I don't know how they would do it except spending a whole lot of money on a special septic system of some type.
So you're saying your home size?
I got 15 acres and I put 14 holes all over that, and they passed me for a 1-bedroom.
That's why it's single wide.
And that's one of the reasons I'm looking at a single wide, because, you know, there's just so much money I can put into a 1-bedroom home.
Did they actually say it was 1 bedroom or 1 bathroom?
1 bedroom.
The way they do it is they measure you can have as many bathrooms, this is crazy, as many bathrooms as you want, but if a room has a closet in it, it's considered a bedroom. So I can have 4 bedrooms, but I can only have 1 closet.
Because it's not considered a bedroom without a closet.
It's not considered, it's a
You can
different.
call an office.
Yeah, you can call it an office, whatever. But, and see, that's part of the problem is I can't see myself putting a whole lot of money into a house out there because it only perked for 1 bedroom. And so, but I want to move out there. I want to live in a cabin in the woods. So.
Do you know if any of the other landowners around you have done?
Well, there's that house that Jake said up towards Highway 80. I assume they got it like normally a 3-bedroom house, but like I said, I spent $6,000 on just the soil sampling, and to get 1 bedroom out of that was already a lot. That's the cost of a septic system right there, you know.
Jake, what did staff recommend? What did y'all recommend?
I
don't see a reason to deny the
That's not
application. I think with to recommend deny. The location of the property in general, you know, it's adjacent, it's immediately adjacent to an RAG district. So if we were 300 feet through the woods, this conversation wouldn't even be taking place. I think not necessarily the hardship, but the plan that Mr. Wellman states that, you know, his age in life, you know, he's looking for something simple, you know, the timing of it, you know, if approved, you know, within 60 days, they could be living in the home. Just, you know, all in all, you know, there's not grounds to deny it. Now, in regards to the impacts, the implications, I think we all know what took place in the early 90s in this county. The population of manufactured homes in the community, and there was no site-built homes taking place. Well, fast forward to 2025, you have a predominantly site-built market right now that's occurring in the county. So the ratio of site-built homes versus manufactured homes, and this easily an 8-to-1, possibly even a 9-to-1 ratio. That's where your house is called. 8-to-1, almost 9-to-1 ratio of site built. So the impacts, when you think 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it's not going to be as drastic as what we're experiencing today with the number of manufactured homes that was put in back in the early 90s. So to answer your question, I don't see any reason to recommend denying.
Zoom back in one more time. What we're saying, and I've had to read, but our ags are already approved for mobile homes. Come in, get a permit, put it on, no public meeting required. Okay, I thought we still have to have a special exception, but I realize it's not. Now, an R1 ag, which is all by itself in the middle of all that, seems to be a little out of place, but it was what they did to get that home built, I guess.
I'm not sure the full context of how that property ended up R1 on an island by itself, but according to the zoning records, that house is on R1 AG.
No idea how far or how long it's been there, how old the house is.
I
Built 2000.
But that don't mean how long the land, it could have been like that before, the land around it was.
Jake, what does it take to rezone that to maybe a R1, 2, or 3? The RAG.
So basically the same process that we're doing tonight, you know, it's two public hearings, and ultimately it goes before the Board of Commissioners for a decision. This
All that
home-
land is owned by one company, is that right? Or individuals?
all of that out there has recently been sold.
So if you wanted to rezone it, you'd have to contact each individual.
If the property owner wanted to rezone it, it would be on an individual basis.
Yeah, from a historic standpoint, I know Gibb County, they're different, but Gibb County has been known to go in there and rezone properties when they look at what's being utilized in that area, and it's kind of spot zone and different things, they'll go in there and harmonize them and rezone it. I know we had a situation, they basically said, you need to rezone it to do what you wanna do. The next thing I know, I turned around, they sent me a letter, said they're gonna rezone it for me and save me $600. But they said, what it is now is not what it should be. What you wanna do with it is what would be typical. And that's where this may be some of those things where we actually are in charge of long-range planning. That is part of our message, or part of our duty is look at long-range planning. And to me, it would almost be if RCD is not appropriate technically anymore, should it be rezoned to R Ag or to R1 Ag? that something we should look at doing as a long-range planning board to make all that property consistent, instead of next month it's gonna be one person wanting one thing, next month it's another, next thing we got a hodgepodge of mixed uses in that same area.
Yeah, my understanding is even the lots on Highway 80 are individuals that bought them to develop either a house or something.
Is that C1, is that the fire station out there?
Not anymore, they moved it down to, that's the actual store that's on the corner here now, but the fire station that used to be there got moved down to the corner of Julia, Georgia.
Okay. And is that the county line right there?
Yes. To your left, right here. So to piggyback on what Mr. Suggs is saying, one of the things when it was announced at the commissioners meeting, in 2025, our goal is to get this land use opened up and laid out on the table and look at what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be addressed, what needs to be added, and so forth. One of the things that staff is finding is that the combination of residential and agricultural is not as big as it was 30 years ago. We're also finding that, there are a lot more commercial uses other than just C1, C2. We know that, we've learned in the last couple of years that there is more than one type of industrial. So in regards to looking at existing zoning and possibly making some changes, there may come a point where it's decided from the community that, we're gonna separate R and AG, and the areas in the county that are predominantly AG, agricultural, and the tracts of land are 200 acres and larger, those all get stamped agricultural. If you have areas that are predominantly residential, they're smaller tracts, they get stamped residential. It's just a R, not R1, not R1 AG, it's just R. Now you have some areas of the county that are R1, that are predominantly site-built home, they would stay R1. You have some R2s and R3s for apartments and so forth, they would stay multifamily zoning. But when you look at a rezoning from a blanket standpoint, that may be something that is considered, going forward. A recommendation from staff is every time somebody comes into the office and they inquire about a manufactured home, the first thing we look at is the zoning. So there's currently 3 zonings in this county that we have to tell the person, I don't know, fill out an application, we'll put you up before the board, and they can make a recommendation and ultimately make a decision. The first thing staff is gonna recommend in this update, either it's allowed or it's not allowed. Because y'all don't realize the position that y'all put us in, having to tell somebody, hey, it may get allowed, it may not. And it's all based off of perception, taxation, and so forth. I don't know Mr. Wellman from anybody else. I don't know his financial well-being, but I know that gentleman and his wife is entitled to a house just as well as any member in this board, any member in this audience. And for anybody in this community to tell somebody what they can and can't afford is wrong. I don't care how you cut that, it's wrong. And for us to sit here and say, we're worried, I'm not directing this towards you, Mr. Brooks.
No, I'm the one that got pointed at.
It's been this way for
You're in good company.
time and time again. But for a board to sit here and say, you can't live in this because of the impact. If you have a problem with the way properties are taxed and so forth, this is not the room to take it up with. Take it up with the taxation part of how do they tax it. If you're gonna afford them homestead exemption, then hold them accountable to the same taxes, because I live in a site-built home. my taxes go up every year. And I live in a community that is, it's manufactured homes all around me. But I'm not gonna go out there and tell them, hey, you can't live in that, because they work just as hard as I do. But my point on it is, you know, when we update this book, make it yes or no, and quit putting staff into the position of where, it may get passed depending on the area. You know, how far are you gonna be off the road? You know how awkward it is to tell somebody, hey, build your house off the road, nobody wants to see you. That's not right. We should not be putting staff in positions where they have to say that. So, when we update this, you know, let's get the zoning right. Let's either it's yes or no. Get away from special exceptions altogether. Maybe have some conditional use permits and stuff like that in there for commercial uses and things like that. But when it comes to home type, yes or no, blanket.
I think the whole point is, at least the point I'm coming from is, certain areas should be kind of grouped alike. So that like-minded people get to live near like-minded people, and those who love mobile homes, modular homes, manufactured homes, they typically they're fine with them as neighbors, but somebody who's got a stick-built home and wants to sell it, it does affect market value in some cases. I think that's more what we look at, is what are these other neighbors going to, or is it going to negatively affect the other neighbors in the area?
You won't be able to see it on that 15 acres. And I don't like the looks of a mobile home either. But you know, it has to do with money really, right now. I'm a retired teacher, you know.
But I think, but when appraisers go down and look at it, they don't care where the house is at, they look at what's on it.
What's on it,
not, can I see it or not?
Yeah.
The next one I had was across the street, looks like a large, how many acre tract is across?
That's Neil Dickey, 995 acres.
Okay, so small tract.
Got 40 cows.
But-
And he's okay with me putting a mobile home out there too.
So it's our ag, all that property at the moment, all the way up to the roadway, actually. Okay. All right. Before I go to public input on this, is anybody on the board with other questions? If they're not,
I don't have a question, but I would like to say that there should be some kind of standard that we follow. If it's something we need to change, it needs to be changed. But we do not follow a standard. It is something that it could be a yes, it could be a no. It can't be across the board a no, it can't be across the board a yes. I mean, I don't know what everyone in here lives in. I don't really care to know what y'all live in. Y'all were living here before this instant tonight, right?
I was. Didn't we just have the same meeting last year for our House on Girl Scout?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we did.
And they went with a stick built, ended up with a stick built for the same price, about.
And I might do that if I can find somebody that'll build me my stick built.
And that's something the development authority could probably, something they could do too, is help, new residents get in touch with contractors that are fair and not doing these astronomical square footage prices and stuff like that. That's something we pass that.
I can get you a house built for $150 a square foot.
question, Mr. Pryor, you mentioned we had this last year. Do you know how we voted on that? Did we recommend that they
You
be
did.
allowed a special exception or be
They
allowed?
did, they were allowed that special exception, but then they did go with a stick-built house. Because they really didn't want to do this, they didn't really want to do the mobile home, but for family reasons, they needed to quicker. But then they were, and cheaper, and then they were actually able to find somebody to do a stick-built very quickly and in the price range. So they did go with that, and they have a beautiful home.
She was a realtor?
Mm-mm.
No,
That was a different one.
no, it
Can you
was
get the names of all these builders?
it was the father that was,
Yeah.
the father was doing the negotiations. He
Yeah.
was doing it for the son and the daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Walden,
The neighbors were
Walden.
complaining on Girl Scout Road.
Walden,
I
Wasden.
can get your house built for $150.
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Are we to the public now?
Yes, I was fixing to go to public, and what I'd like to do is hopefully narrow down to 3 minutes or less if we can. If somebody's really got something, we'll listen to, but let's keep them kind of short if we can, whether you're pro or against. We're gonna go just around the room, and I'm gonna start on front row. Mr. Reed?
So you've got RCD, right? They're allowed in RAG. Why do we have a special exception to allow it in RCD versus rezoning their plot of land? What do you call it? Rezoning parcel, thank you. Rezone that parcel so that they can have it and then it's that way forever, right? Why are we special exceptioning versus doing like you did your industrial to residential in the city?
Is there an actual question? Why do we?
Yeah, why aren't we rezoning the land versus asking for a special exception?
And that might be
That's a good
be
question.
way, that might be a way to come at the board and ask to rezone it versus a special exception.
It takes all.
I completely agree with what she's saying.
It takes all of the conversation off the table, right? There's not any of the emotions that are here about mobile homes versus stick-built homes. You just rezone your land. You do what you want on your land, right? I mean, that to me seems the simplest.
Is there a reason, Jake?
So, the first thing is a rezoning is 500 versus 250 for a special exception. Special exception allows Mr. Wellman to put a manufactured home on that property, doesn't change nothing else. When you rezone it, Mr. Wellman now has a 15-acre tract that is RAG. And that part of the county, you can split it into 1 acre. Let's just say hypothetically, it just mysteriously starts to perk. Now we just approve 15 mobile homes, not the one for a special exception. So, I agree in some cases, rezoning is the way to go. In his, it was industrial, and residences are not allowed in industrial. So, you know, it had to be converted over to R1.
So in his instance, is the resident allowed on that?
Yeah, so currently.
With a special exception,
and
right?
It's a special exception.
Oh, to put a house there, period.
Yeah.
So it's no different. If I rezone mine, we're asking for a special exception on this one, right?
So if we were to rezone the RAG to like an R1, what would that do?
So R1, you'd still have to grant the special exception.
It's R1 a stick-built house, basically, residential.
I move we approve.
I don't think we're done talking.
We're not even
done talking.
I thought that y'all approved.
Yeah, now if we do this, please get public.
Yeah, pardon me.
Second row,
I just want to say that I'm going to throw this out there because Jake's talking about the staff redoing the book. I've accepted another position so that I can be available to help with the book, just like I did with the concrete and stuff. So that's out there for you. I just want everybody to also remember that this county has opted out of House Bill 581. We do not know what that's going to look like for us in certain areas, and the county coming up with doing some homestead taxes themselves. So I think we need to take that into consideration as this board looking for stuff as we move forward, being outside of that now as well.
I'm gonna say that, you know, a lot of people, y'all said a while ago, people with a lot of acres sometimes just put mobile homes. I got 27 acres. I built a 4,000 square foot home on my land. A lot of people out there, that house y'all showed a while ago, has he been contacted by y'all to let you know that somebody's wanting to put a mobile home in?
Signs are posted right there.
Huh? I know the sign's posted, but when can we start notifying the neighbors that live on either side of the property?
Don't they
By
get a
the
letter?
If they got
Instead
to
of a
do such
sign, 'cause
process.
they don't drive down that road. That house is,
Yeah.
the house is before you get to that
Did you mail a
property.
letter to them?
Not necessarily, it's the adjacent property owners.
So he
The property
doesn't
owner.
get
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get one. He has a house, not a mobile home. The other thing is, when I decided to build a house on my property, I couldn't afford to build a size house I built. So I got an exception I built a 3-car garage with the exception I was gonna add to that with a house. And that happened. I suggest you do the same.
How old were you when you started?
27 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm almost 70 now.
I'm 75.
All right, I'm close to you.
I'm looking towards the end more than the beginning.
But I lived in that 3-car garage for 2 years, with
Wow.
the exception, my wife and I, and we built the house.
That's amazing.
So that's my suggestion to you. Instead of going with a mobile home, build a small house, get the exception to live in it for 2 years to build you a smaller house attached to it.
Okay, next row.
Is this the parcel number we have on here correct? Because on the map, it shows that the 15 acres is 080F, and that the 080H is next to Miss Gibson's house, which is the $267,000 house. And that's only 6 acres instead of 15, so what's the right parcel number? Because you can't approve the wrong, you can't approve the wrong parcel number, the special exception for the wrong parcel number.
What's the application? From a legal standpoint, the application is what carries
Now, what are you telling, you're telling the public which one it is though, and I just wanna make sure that if you read the minutes and you look at the parcel number, it's 080F is the one that's 15.22 acres, not 0080H, which is 2 lots, 2 parcels over. So it needs to be legally correct what you're talking about, number one.
the minutes and the application will be correct.
Okay.
Now,
So this is wrong, what's on this agenda?
That's correct.
Okay. And the other question is, how did Miss Gibson's land is R1 AG, right?
That's correct.
Did she have to apply to get it rezoned? Is that what she did?
Apparently, when they built that house, they went through a rezoning process and they had it rezoned to R1 AG. And like I said, I wasn't able to find the process that they went through, but all indications are that's what they did.
And so each one of those parcels would have to do that if they wanted to build and get it.
If they wanna build anything out there, either they're gonna have to apply for a special exception or they're gonna have to go for a rezoning. And that's where, when you go back and look at the land use, now the third column here is RCD. So individual mobile home, special exception. Single family attached dwelling, special exception. Single family dwellings are permitted. Well, I stand corrected. When I glanced earlier, I thought single family homes were special exception as well. But they may have went through and rezoned it just to make it
I just wondered why that one parcel stuck out as R1 AG and then all the rest of them are RCD.
How long has she been there, you know?
2006.
Built in 2000.
How can you prove anything that's wrong though? Ain't this a binding thing?
Tracy, he's asking if you've got anything else.
No,
When you're
no,
a
sir.
commissioner, you're supposed
No.
to be very careful on.
As a commissioner, I brought duct tape and I haven't had to use it, okay? Next.
Okay. All right. With that, we kind of heard everybody. We've gone through the public input part. Before we entertain motions one way or the other, is there anything that you've heard, seen, or have that might persuade us one way or the other in this? Okay. All right. After all debate and discussions, any other questions?
I would like to say one more thing, please. I would like to help you build a house, if that's what you.
I'm gonna talk to you and Josh, you both seem like you know what you're talking about, and,
Well, I've been a builder most of my life, I'm not doing that currently.
if I can get a good deal on building a stick built, it'd be, I tell you the reason I'd rather have a stick built. Because, a 16 wide mobile home, 60 feet long, I made my driveway curvy, so you can't see the house from the road. But I'll have to widen and take out some trees to get a mobile home in there, right? A stick built, I won't have to do that. And so I'd rather have a stick built if I can get one built, fairly quick and at
We
a
would
decent
like you to
price.
have a stick
So
built.
I'm gonna talk to you guys.
So,
Can we-
personally, there's a reason why we need to, as a county, limit what we do for the future of this county, which I happen to want to be a part of. If we can help you out, further that, but I'm just gonna leave that piece there.
So to clarify, if it stays as is, he could build a house. If we change it, he can build a house. So there's no,
Right.
stick built's not a question. It's
Right.
just to verify that we're all on the same page.
Would you be,
And the other problem is the perk, is the soil test, I got 15 acres and I get a 1-bedroom in there, it just,
now, is that based off of the design of the septic system?
well, if you get a $30,000 septic system, I think you can put one of those in there. But right now, for a 1-bedroom, I can get a $3,500 septic system, right? I've already put 6,000 in the septic system, basically. And so, at my age, I figure the cheapest way I can get in is gonna be the best way for me. We live in a house in Warner Robins. I had a house on Lake Togo, 5,000 square foot. But I wanna live in the woods in a cabin, and I love it out here. I love it out here. I wanna be part of Roberta and Crawford County. That's what I wanna do. And, she works for the school system, and, she wants to get her retirement there, so I'm gonna hang around the land and drive the tractor and, and we got the creek. We bought the lot goes all the way down, and the creek runs around a third of it. And on the other side of the creek, we have another 1.5 acres, and we just really enjoy it down there.
I just want to know if we can just have a mobile home, whatever. Of course, the stick build is approvable because I don't need you to approve, right?
Right,
Except the mobile home. That's why we're sitting here for.
right. We have that
We
way. We
have
have
choice.
choice. That way we have choices. Right.
Okay. Have we discussed it?
Yes.
Do we have a motion one way or the other?
I move we approve.
Have a motion to approve the special exception. We have a second.
I'll second.
Which one?
There's your vote on block.
Richard was louder, I don't know that first.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second.
But they all
Are there any
broke
other
their
questions on the
oath
motion?
of office tonight.
None being, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I voted no, so I get a right to express that to you. I'm gonna help you, I would like to help you build a house.
We'll work on it.
One way or the other, I think you're gonna be fine, but I have the right to express, how I feel about
That's
it.
great. That's great.
I would prefer to see that, and I would actually prefer everyone build a house, of course, for the longevity of the county. Now, I don't feel like we have a right to tell you what you can and can't do on that property.
I understand.
If I can, point where I'd like to just at least make sure we got the vote right. All those who voted in favor of the special exception or the motion, can you raise your right hand? 4. Those who voted against were 2. Okay.
I'm gonna make a statement.
One more to
Jay
go.
knows what I'm talking about. It's not just Crawford County, it's any county you go in. You can go buy some double wides, single wides, whatever you want to call it, and they can look nice.
Yeah, they
There's
can.
one on our road right now that me and him have been discussing about. This is a several $100,000 home. I wouldn't live next to it if you gave me the property. I'm just telling you, it's junk.
Right.
And this is a several $100,000 home. And he knows what I'm talking about. And it's not the only one, it's just one that we've been discussing.
I built and owned a 135-acre mobile home park at one time in Alabama. And, I don't like mobile homes, okay? But, like I say, if I can only get a perk for 1 bedroom, and at my age, if I was younger, I'd be building a 5,000 square foot house. If I could find a perk test that would fit it, you know?
So to clarify, basically, we're recommending as a planning and zoning board to the county commissioners that we recommend the approval of a special exception.
Right.
We'll have to go before the county commissioners and they'll have to confirm that. They can change their mind. Not too often they do, but they can and do other things. When would be the meeting on that? March 4th.
Josh voted no as well, he has a right to explain if he'd like to explain himself.
Yeah, I'm seconding basically what Brandon said, that, you know, I think I would love to see you do a stick-built house versus a mobile home for the depreciation. And if she lives there, you wanna give it to other family members in the long run, and it's good for the county, it's good for storms and so forth.
Right.
And I'm just saying that I'd be willing to help you out or lead you in the right direction.
Bugs.
Bunch of
It's good for
contacts and stuff
bugs.
like that, to help you get there.
That,
At a reasonable
I
time.
appreciate that.
Best of luck, and if you get here in the county, welcome to Crawford County.
Well, thank you, I'm looking forward to living in Crawford County.
All right, let's start quick and we'll move on.
Please, I don't do it.
Y'all are welcome to hang around. The fun's really fixing to start, but,
So you're done with us, huh?
we'll see you on March 4th.
Did you wanna ask a question?
No, thank you.
Go get some stuff.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we'll go down to new business.
Thank you all.
2025 training.
Thank you, thank you.
And I think you sent out a list, maybe yesterday, of the dates that are available.
So with
Keely,
the
his
exception of
stuffing's
Mr.
coming back.
Thaxton, is everybody getting the emails to the county email account?
I haven't got anything back from you.
So yesterday, a flyer was sent out in regards, the last few years, well, last year we went to Macon via for the training that was offered there for the 101 or 102 course. The last couple of years, we've been trying to get them to come down and do the training here in the county, but we just haven't been successful on getting everything to fit together. So this year, are y'all opposed to being shipped up to like Kennesaw or Athens or a one-day course for
Where's it at?
the training?
He's talking Kennesaw now, but see if you can
If
get
that's easier, then we can move forward with, you know, making arrangements to get you lodging and so forth, because I know with recent events, and I'm not sure if y'all are, everybody is aware, but, you know, that previous board that got everybody in hot water, and there's a court order that board members attend an annual training session that is sponsored by the Carl Vinson Institute of Government.
Well, how have we been having them?
We have been,
Okay.
but the challenge is it's getting harder and harder to get them to come to Crawford and put on the training. So we have two options. One, I can continue to, you know, beg, plead, and borrow to get her to come down here, or, you know, we can just make arrangements for the board members to go to off-site training sessions like Kennesaw, Alpharetta.
There's good ones that, in Cobb County, I got 2 flyers on, but they're expensive. I mean,
Yeah, I was just
the
fixing to ask,
one-day
what's the
course,
cost for
like
training?
$250
That's the reason why we've done it in county, was to eliminate some of the lodging.
Up now.
I mean, that course is $250 for one day. I mean, it's good when it talks about variances and, you know, it's actually got some meat to it, but that's a lot of money.
The 250 part is gonna be the same, whether they come here or you go up there. The additional cost is the lodging and the mileage, the reimbursement for the fuel. That's, you know, you figure, you know, an additional $150 per member, you know, that.
plus mileage, right?
You know, we wasn't around when that board, you know, made that zoning decision.
15 plus years ago, 15 years ago.
Did we still try to get her to come in? We usually had good attendance from other counties.
Yeah.
I'll do my best,
That's all we asked.
but.
Well, you asked last year, but you did this year. What is this? Last year she didn't come.
Last year, they done it over in Macon Villa at the regional commission, so I'm waiting to see if they're gonna do it again there. If that's the case, then we'll just run over to Nathan.
Yeah.
And
I think we all like to see something in the middle of here, whether it's Macon or, something closer to Lawrenceville or Gwinnett County, so. Randy, you had a question?
Yes. Let's go lean on what Josh was talking about earlier. What is our steps to make those changes? What do we need to do to make those changes to where this is a yes or a no?
So the third item up under new business is the segue for getting to that point.
Okay, hey, there you go. Third one. Okay.
Can I ask a question on the training?
Okay.
Like, what, does that come out of the planning and zoning budget? Okay.
And that was part of your line for training that you had in there?
Not for training, it's for under the other professional services. The
okay.
P&Z board's expenses come out of there.
Out of that professional services line, okay. And who is it from Carl Vinson that's giving you a hard time?
They're not giving me a hard time, it's just hard to get her schedule conducive because she's a one-person show. Chrissy Marlowe, she does all the zoning stuff, and she's a very sharp person. We've had a lot of success.
There was one of the classes coming up March 6th, and I don't have an email for the classes. There's one kind of March 6th, I think, was it? The class 103 or 104? That's a newer class.
103 and 104 are new editions.
I know the second one I can't attend, but the one in March 6th was the one I could attend, and I don't have a problem driving. But I would be very interested in attending that if we don't think we're gonna get one closer. Or in those, but I've been to 101 a few times, I've been to 102, so we'd like to see kind of a different format.
But that was the conversation that I had with her was how to expand and get away from the basics. When you have long-serving members on the P&Z board that, you know, in cases like ours where we're required to have annual training, you know, you don't want to sit in on the same class every year when they're not expanding their curriculum. So, you know, luckily, 103 and 104 have been
I think 103 is almost a bit more toward administrative, 104 really had a lot to do with a little bit more in detail, more of what a board member would do. 103 was a little bit more administrative, but we're gonna be going through a lot of administrative with the third item on our new business agenda. It still might be very helpful. So I would be interested in going to that, and I'd drive up in the morning, and I'd rather drive up early than spend the night, go to a meeting. And it's actually only a 4 or 5 hour class. One of those might be that one.
I will reach out to, in the next week or so, to Chrissy and to see if she has anything scheduled, they can be out in the regional commission.
Okay.
And then, you know, I'll send out emails and kind of keep everybody posted. And hopefully February, or going into March and April, you know, we'll kind of narrow it now. And, you know, and that, my goal is to have this done by the summer, or at least scheduled by the summer.
Okay. So I would say if anybody wants to go to March 6th, likes getting up early in the morning, drive up and go to it, I would be willing to drive them.
Are you inviting us to?
I'm gonna invite the board members first, and if there's anybody who wants to pay their own,
Where's this at?
you gotta pick up lunch if I'm picking up gas, how about it?
Where's it at?
It's in Lawrenceville.
In Lawrenceville?
Lunch is cheaper.
Lunch is cheaper in Lawrenceville, right? Yeah.
There, I might be interested.
Okay.
I've read the,
Okay, all right, well, we'll hopefully hear something quicker, but if not, plan
While
B.
driving, you can go
I'd be
in.
interested in that March 6th.
Sure.
That's correct, I would.
That's why God made the
All right,
pitch pass.
anything else on training? All right, model solar ordinances. And my first question will be on the model solar ordinances. I read through all of them. Is there anything imperative coming before us, or is this just kind of a big hole in our land development resolution that needed some attention?
So
Updates.
in 2020, in the middle of COVID kicking off, Middle Georgia Regional Commission, in addition to the Clean Air Coalition of Central Georgia, sent out a model ordinance, which is a template for the communities to take and kind of implement into their land use resolution. So each one of y'all was provided a copy of that model ordinance. There's three sizes of a solar project. You have your residential that would go on your house. You have a small scale, and then you have a large scale. The large scale is what recently got approved for continuation over off the Causey Road, 1,000 acre, so forth. A small scale would be like a 1 acre or 2 acre project. And in some cases, if you have a commercial business and they wanted to put solar panels on their rooftops and so forth to supplement their energy needs and so forth, but having guidelines for those. Currently, the way our land use is set up, anything to do with solar falls up under the public utilities. There's nothing really points you in the direction of how do you look at a solar project, whether it's residential, a small scale, or a large scale. But the model ordinance kind of gives us a starting point. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and advertise the public hearing for a text amendment, put it out, and then we can circulate that model solar ordinance, get feedback from the community, have 2 public hearings, and possibly implement this into the land use, so that it would be a side project that we go ahead and get put into the system, or put into the land use, so that if anything else comes along, at least we have better guidance. Your question about, is there something coming down the pipeline that we should be aware of? If I had a crystal ball, I can answer that. But I can tell you, I get 2 phone calls a week wanting to know what our ordinances are and do we have a moratorium, which tells me that there is something that's out there. If counties are doing moratorium, is solar becoming more relevant or not? But at least this way we can put something on the books and kind of have guidelines. It's actually solar and not public utility structure.
Simple and simple, there's not a sense of urgency, time is not of the essence at this point that you're aware of that we need to push this, but we do need something that needs to be addressed sooner, not reactive after something becomes before us.
This board's decision to move forward with advertising and public hearings and so forth, I would probably go to the county attorney and ask him, while we're working on this, do we need to put a moratorium out there? And based off his recommendation, do we put a speed bump out there, draft the text amendment, and then, get it implemented?
You would be recommending a moratorium on small residentials, just more of the small, medium-sized and larger projects, not necessarily residential.
I would say go straight across the board.
We just did an extension on solar, right?
I mean, this wouldn't apply to any of that, that's on the table.
It's coming, there's stuff coming.
So it is.
I just saw the panel thing working, that thing, they put one down there.
Ain't no nothing happen.
Yeah.
I can tell you, back in November, December, I made several trips to Columbus. Y'all ought to see what's going on down in the state of Canada.
I've seen that together too.
That's been there
No,
for
I'm
years.
talking about, they're all looking the wrong way.
Yeah.
It is not being managed. And if it's not being managed, it's not making money. And if it's not making money, nobody's looking at it. And we better pay attention. Every time I went by there, I looked,
See, that's some of them.
and the same thing will be pointed to Roberta when it's up.
Let's do this. I think we're gonna get off track and get into the deep meat and potatoes I think what the staff is gonna to us with the note, do we feel like that we need to develop a model solar ordinance for our
Yeah.
county?
Yeah.
I think it needs to be quicker than you think.
That's what I'm asking.
I think we need to do it quicker than you think it is, because I know there's people out buying large acres of land right now with the intention of doing solar, and I mean, I'm talking large parcels of land.
So,
You know,
do us, at this point, I would look for a motion for us to either pursue this, for staff to pursue this, advertise it, and us to work diligently on a model solar ordinance, or we vote not to pursue it. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to pursue it.
Have a second. Have a motion and a second. Any other questions on that? None being, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
I would like to add one thing though, and it's part of the land development that you're talking about. We really need to decide, are we agriculture? Because, or are we wanting to be, industrial? Because, I mean, if we start going with all these solar panels, you're taking up farmland. You know, and we're gonna become Reynolds and Butler on a, and that's a decision for these people to make. It's like one big time you don't
Can
want
you
it.
talk about your survey?
We need to decide.
Just from a standpoint of time, I think that's gonna come out in that topic of conversation.
I hope so. Yeah,
And I'm gonna get Thomas to tag
Future
everybody.
land use map. So, it's kinda like, isn't this like Ben Jones rolling up his sleeves on weather?
We're in
Jake's
trouble.
rolling up his sleeves?
Each one of y'all have a map in front of you. So, I want you to help me predict the future. You're on the front row,
Thank you.
and you're gonna volunteer to help because you wanna be involved and so forth. That map right there is a blank canvas of this county. So far tonight, we've mentioned several times of updating the land use resolution and so forth. Before we can really do anything on looking at land use, we have to know where do we want the community to go? So what do you envision 20 years from now, when you look at this map? Where do you see the residential development? Hypothetically, just hypothetically. We're gonna apply for a grant for a sewer system for Crawford County. Where do we put this sewer system? What part of the county are we fixing to develop for residential, commercial, industrial? So how can we expect our development authority to pursue funding for a sewer system if there's nothing out there? There's no kind of map. Where do we wanna see a 200 home subdivision pop up in? Where do we want our next retail corridor to be? The commercial development. We want a grocery store? Where do we want to see it at? Surely y'all don't want us to build it in the flood zone that Higgley Wiggly's in. I don't know how it got passed back here, but that's a flood zone. There's no lender that will loan money to build in a flood zone unless you build it up. But my point being is, we need something to start to be able to say, where do we see the growth occurring in the county? Most communities out there, they start with a future land use map. The good thing about it, it's fluid. It's not set in stone.
It's gonna come
If something comes along,
here.
it shifts to the
This
development.
area here,
We roll with the punches.
this area here.
But from a planning standpoint, how many of us could see a dam going down on the 96 portion of Flint River? Now all of a sudden Cummings Road is lakefront property. Or what if we put a dam up on the north side of 128? Everything up on Hollis
I
Road
brought my glasses.
is now lakefront property.
You say that about 96, but it's proposed.
I mean,
You understand that, it's proposed.
It's been proposed for dozens of years.
was
My
96?
point is, how can we look at our land
Where
use
is
and say,
96?
this is what we envision, this is what we wanna allow in our community, if we don't have nothing to start with?
So one of the first things, first of all, we are planning and zoning, we're not zoning and planning, so really planning is a very big part of our name, our title, our duties. One of the things I would look at is, we start with the 5-year plan that the county has already come up with public input. That's always a good starting point, so anybody that hasn't read that or doesn't have access to it, you can get a digital email copy of it, I think, instead of a printed copy, if they want.
So my homework assignment to y'all, that's the P&Z board, focus on planning, and, the individuals in the audience, write some colors on there. Where do you see the commercial development? Where do you see the residential development? Help us put something in place so that when we start sitting down with, updates and so forth, we have something to start with. Because if we don't have nothing to start with, it's gonna take us an hour or a year and a half to get started.
I just wanna say that when y'all, and this is, I'm just respectfully saying this, when y'all are making these decisions and you point and talk about us, the public, are y'all really gonna listen? And I post that to everybody because I've done several things on the Crawford County discussion page in the forms of polls. And over 500 people did a poll, answered the poll not long ago about what they wanted this community to look like. Miss Barbara challenged me, were they county people, were they people in the city? I did go back and look at a lot of those, and if you got 500 people, and I had other things within my private mailboxes, and you're not listening to any of that, what's the good in involving the public in the first place?
So,
And my last poll in the last 2 weeks was, do you feel like your P&Z and your commissioners listen to you? And most everybody said they don't show up to meetings because it doesn't matter what they say or how they feel, it falls on deaf ear. So I'm saying as a new year, and I've already said this to the commissioners and the new board here, if you're not listening to what your public wants, your county won't grow because people's not gonna shop here. They're not gonna wanna help bring business into here. It takes everybody, y'all, including us. But if you're not listening to 500 and 600 people, then we're not listening to what the community wants to make it grow.
So to answer that, if I may, when I first took this job, there was nobody sitting in this audience. I went to some of the powers to be and asked, where's the participation? Why does nobody come? I don't know. It's just hard to get people to come to. I asked some of the board members. I was told, well, the only time you're going to get people to come up here is if you have something to do with a chicken house. You want to fill this room up? Propose a chicken house. And that, luckily, we ain't had that, but we've had just about everything else. Shortly thereafter, when I started looking through this land use resolution, hey, this was great in the 80s, but it's 2020. We need to update it. The word internet was not even in the book. So scratch the surface and ask, hey, what does it take to get updated? Well, it'll get updated in time. It wasn't long to realize that the only way to make progress would be to get interest from the community. Now, unfortunately, we had something that occurred that divided this community. And I hate that we went through that. But I can tell you, there will be so much good that comes from that. The passion that's being displayed today, not only at this meeting, but throughout the community, the things that are taking place, it will benefit this community. And to answer your question is, are the people going to be listened to? I guarantee you, this board, the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Education, and the City Council, and the Development Authority will come together for the greater good of this community, and the decisions to benefit this community will be for the greater good. Obviously.
Well, I just heard you say that, and I'm going to take your word for it, but just 2 days ago, and you mentioned the Board of Education, the superintendent's wife was on the page saying some things that she should not have been saying. I'm just saying, if you want this public involved, then you got to listen to what they're saying.
my belief is there is so
Listen and act.
much tension still out there. Now, I'm not a therapist by any means, but, you know, there's gonna have to, you know, be some feelings that's put aside. But it's gonna start with us saying, how do we make things better and make it for the greater good?
And you had 500 people saying that they want things for the greater good, and it don't happen.
I don't have social media, so I'm
I do polls occasionally on that page because since I write for the paper, people reach out to me. Of course, I'm a voice in these meetings, so I did a poll and I asked direct questions. Like one, why do you not show up at the meetings? And everybody that replied to it says, because we're not heard. Another one was, you know, certain things. Trudy, what was it on one of those? I said, here's what I asked about the community. For those living in this community, when you moved here, did you know that you would have to commute for your jobs? Yes.
Yes.
When you moved here, did you know this was a bedroom community with not a lot of industry, and you may have to pay higher taxes? Yes. That was my biggest poll, actually, almost 600 people. And they want this small community.
Yep.
They want ruralness. They want agriculture, not the solar panels and stuff. And that's what they're asking you to listen to.
Listen and act.
I would like to, from a board member's standpoint, kind of say how I like to come into a meeting and kind of my philosophy. And especially if I'm with children. When I come into the meeting, I should have my mind made up because I've done my homework, I've done my study, I've done what I should. I should walk in with my mind made up. But I should also always be willing to change my mind if somebody brings in information, things, or things I haven't considered. I should be willing to change my mind based on information I'm not familiar with. So that's what I challenge people. If you do all your homework and you look in trying to debate yourself while you're looking for the research, but when it comes in here, if you walk in that door and don't have an idea of which way you're going to go, you didn't really do your homework, I feel like. But when we walk out that door, we should have listened to everybody that walked in. So, as Jake has said, one of the best things and the worst things that happened to this county is we got divided and we got a debate. We got people involved. I'd like to know who in this room would not be here if there wasn't for a rock quarry that we had. Almost everybody. So there's something that good came out of it, and I appreciate y'all being here. It's important to come to these meetings and the other meetings. And I will say that if y'all think we don't listen, we've got our mind made up, well, I challenge the board members to walk in with your homework done, which should give you a direction, but always be open-minded to walk out that door with a totally different direction than what you walked in with. So if I could say that we do actually listen, and I think people that say that don't really, I think from everybody I've met and know in personalities, I think most of us walk in and walk out with an open mind. Yes, sir.
So, what he said is true. My mind was made up tonight with this young man's deal that I was going to vote for it. Only in talking to him and him saying he wanted a house, wanted a stick-built house, I changed my vote. That's why. That's the only reason why. But I come here in my mind made up. Y'all heard my little rant. I'm not the police. Your plan is on. You should go do what you want with your property. I believe that. But I believe me voting no, I could help him. But obviously it's not a problem. You've made it clear. I will speak for myself on this, that I usually have my mind made up when I come in here. I generally want what's best for the community. I plan on, being here. So that's why I asked about them polls.
Well, I think that poll, and like I said, that one that I did about how people wanted to see this community was the biggest poll. It got the most hits of any poll I've ever done on that page. Like I said, it was almost 600. And people were very adamant how they want this community to look and how they want it to stay. Now, we've got to come up with ways to bring in businesses so that it helps. But the type of businesses, and I've already been talking to the mayor on some stuff, and the type of businesses we want to see in this community that brings money into this community, makes the community prosperous, but leaves us with what everybody's moving here for. When I moved here 30 years ago, I worked on Riverside Drive. I did not mind making a 45-minute drive because I knew I wanted the quietness of a county living. My children never attended school at Crawford County. I paid for them to go to school because where I live, if I had to get off and go to a doctor's visit, it was a long haul. So, but I live here, pay taxes here, and I make sure to shop as much as I can in this county. And Amazon, y'all ought to be glad now that Amazon gets sales tax from people that live here, because I put a lot of sales tax from Amazon here. But what I'm saying is, even my most recent poll, my number one question is, why do you not attend meetings? And everybody in that poll said, because we're not heard. And I think that's important.
Now, can I ask you a question? What about, what do the communities feel about the mobile home issue? That
They-
seems to be the next biggest issue that we're gonna have on this board is, because I personally believe you own your property, you should be able to do what you want on it.
Right,
But obviously, if that's not what the community sees,
right.
But
Well, I think
planning and zoning to make sure that you can't just do whatever you want to on your property, because
Right, that
it
we've got
affects other
ordinances.
people. That's why
Yeah.
planning and zoning exists, to make sure there are boundaries.
You feel like people should do what they want to on their property?
I disagree with you.
No, I
The
think,
challenge is,
it's-
how do you take a land use residential and say, okay, you can live here, but it has to be a house, it has to be a site built house.
but when you have somebody
And I'm
that,
saying that.
listen, when you have somebody,
Junkyard.
if you have somebody that has moved into a kind of, I know we don't have subdivisions out here, but every area, every piece of property has a house on it, and then you have somebody that wants to put a mobile home on it. I live in a mobile home, so I don't have any injustices or any differential feelings here. What I'm saying is, I would not want somebody putting a piece of crap something even to my mobile home. But what I'm saying is, if you have people that are living in $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 homes, then they bought their property. They did a stick-built house for that purpose. And you said something earlier. You said, no, it's not ugly. You just made a reference to that people back in the day. We had a moratorium where mobile homes couldn't come in. Well, we had to do away with that because we got sued. But here's the thing. So still, we had an issue with that. But here's the thing. You even said it since then, now our house numbers are up. Do you know why people are building houses out here? Because they want a house in a rural community, and they don't want to be living all among a bunch of mobile homes.
Because we adopted rules and regulations to manage mobile home, manufactured home subdivision. Back in the 90s, they could come in and take a 200-acre tract and basically put one road through there and then cut it up and say, okay, here's your 25 mobile homes. Well, now you can't do that. It's not that cut
I
and
get
dry.
that, and I was just answering what Brandon said. I just feel like if you got people that are living in stick-built homes, and they should be able to live around like places.
The challenge is property maintenance. It's the person that lives there and the pride that they take in.
That is true.
So the
But
other
when I'm
people-
selling my $250,000 home and I can't get $250,000 for it because the mobile home next to it is depreciating my value, then there's your problem.
then you have a problem with property maintenance. And the county needs better property maintenance rules and guidelines and so forth. And that's why the other part of the
Well, that's not
position-
what realtors say.
The other part of the equation about the building inspector position was code enforcement is a lot of that role and responsibility as well. So the young man that got hired on to fill the building inspector, he will be the active code enforcement. Part of this right here, Article 22 of the land use resolution. That will be the first thing that you hear me preach on as far as I need more bite in Article 22.
Oh, I'm gonna be involved, so I'm
Because I can't go out to a property and be very vague that says your property is not up to par.
I learned that from you when we were doing the
So
stuff,
I
so I'm
need
prepared.
specific guidelines. So My belief is the property maintenance will kind of bring a lot of the manufactured homes and the resellability of site-built homes, because that's basically what it is. It's not the value that's gonna be, it's whether or not somebody's gonna buy it, the sellability. So that
Well,
is.
well, I hope you're right, but I
One
know
little-
a realtor that's got 30 years of experience disagrees with that.
And it happened to us when we had our house reevaluated, when we had to take out a loan on it to fix it. The comps that they found were brand new manufactured homes, and they ran between $60,000 and $80,000 beneath what a same stick-built home would do. They had to expand their areas. So I understand what you're saying, and I get it, but it happened to us. We had to have them expand and look for stick-built and not compare us to manufactured homes. So it does
We're gonna
impact.
get back on topic. The topic is
The land use book, and that's what we were talking about.
It's not the land use book. Futures land use map. He didn't say this.
Do we see this process going into our current development resolution, or do we want to, is this part of kind of our redoing the whole thing and making it part of it?
So
But technically, we should have this in what we have now, in most cases.
the finished document will have, whether it's included in there or it's a standalone land map that's in the planning and zoning office, but there needs to be something that you can look at and say, hey, here's an area that's identified for this type, and here's an area that's identified for this type. And tonight is just a starting point, so next meeting, y'all bring it back, y'all bring y'all's back, we throw them
I'm
up on
taking
the
my map.
wall and say, hey, you know, what's the problem? Are we all looking at that now on how we use it?
Okay, on this map, what do these colors mean? I mean, what,
So that's the character map that's in the comprehensive land use, and that's where Greg Boyd, and they updated that. And, you know, I appreciate all the hard work and effort and so forth, but you just about have to be a rocket scientist to,
that's what I said, there's no definition of why it's pink or yellow or.
Key. There's no key.
Does that mean people are there or what does it mean?
Jenny, I think one of the things that we would need though, and I kind of said once, but at least go by, what documents do we already have within our county that we should be aware of? And I'm thinking between topo maps of what your wetlands are and your floodplains are, probably need to be able to help us draw that on. The 5-year strategic planning, or whatnot, there's different words for it. Map is already out there.
just your general knowledge of the county, if you're out and about, you know, that would be your best friend. Knowing what's out there is kind of as a starting point. But, for example, and don't quote me on this, I don't know anything, there's no application or, this is just a hypothetical. But if you take Highway 42, like you're going to Byron, and you get to the stop sign at Marshall Mill and Taylor's Mill Road, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, can you see that being a retail?
No,
No.
Where's 42?
mm-mm. You already asked me that once, no.
Right here?
You already asked me.
Say that to be that close to getting Dollar General right there.
But you gotta,
Grocery stores now.
That doesn't mean anything.
We got two of them right here.
Dollar General will pop up next door to you.
but I mean, so, you know, if you go out Highway 8, and Olive Grove, you know, currently there's a convenience store there. But, you know, could you see that area becoming more commercially developed?
No. Isn't that right at the county line?
This right here,
Who's
Marshall
gonna-
Mill and 42.
There's nobody out there hardly.
Alright, so let me change up a little bit. Let's go down to the bottom of Olive Grove Church Road. The 10,000 acres of timberland down there that borders the river. When the timber company gets tired of cutting trees, and they say, okay, we're gonna put it on the market, and those homes, that land gets sold off, and now you got $4 or $5 million homes built down there on the river. Now, those cars are coming up on Highway 80 up there to the intersection. Now, you've got a lot more cars that are in that area. Could you see it being developed then?
No.
No.
Come on.
People
What
are
kind of an
moving.
example is that? That's so
people-
unrealistic. That kind of speculation
People
is
are
an
moving.
absolute
People
waste
won't
of
rule.
time.
People
Zeppelin
won't
Road.
rule.
Zeppelin Road in Macon.
They fought it every bit of the way and they took it. People
Thirty-
got their
You
homes
guys
eminent
agreed
domain.
to it. Let's not go back
Yeah.
to Zebulon Road.
35 years ago, nobody envisioned Zeppelin Road being where it's at. Ass Road.
But we're
Nobody-
not that though.
You're not
Don't
going
sit here,
interstate.
don't hear, we can't sit here and say we're not that.
We don't
because
have interstates. I mean, you're talking about something just totally
If you
different
wanna
than
know,
what we
the
got.
only areas that would grow is out here on this section of this county and out here on this section. All this area here in the middle, it ain't gonna grow.
Never had it and
How-
never will.
Highway 42 coming out of Monroe County. Is it gonna develop?
Because,
This is Monroe County.
because it's Monroe County.
Yeah.
Jay.
No,
It's Monroe County. What you're saying is not
You
accurate.
talking about 42 coming into it, by the peach pack?
You must not be following the
It ain't gonna
Forsyth
develop.
page.
You'll have
Yell it out,
house
Forsyth
develop.
page. There's opposition. There's opposition to a lot of stuff there right now.
If you want to look at where we're going, go look at Cherokee County
Brooke
25, 30 years ago, because they are and were a bedroom community. There's no industry there. Let's call them and ask
Brooks
them,
County's
what did it
the
look
same
like
way.
25
they kept
years
it
ago?
rural,
Yep.
and they've got stuff coming in without industry, and they're thriving. And there's other places going to
Two
look at Brooks
interstates
and them.
in there.
One thing I think we all have to take into account, we have to think long range, there's a lot of what ifs, and we have to think what ifs.
It's
And
gonna grow here,
If somebody
here,
puts something
here,
in Monroe
but
County,
this will not grow.
Peach County puts in a car manufacturing plant with 20,000 employees, our county will change, and it can change like that.
But not
We
with
have to-
industry and stuff.
Well, we just have to, we have to take a lot of what ifs into account as part of our planning. We can't be reactionary on everything. We have to look at a lot of what ifs.
Jake, what is
And a
the
lot of
ask?
decisions that we make, especially rezoning, it can affect something 50 years from now drastically.
What is the ask?
And one of the things I've always said is, if you
For this?
change
What is the
something to
ask?
a C2, you open up the door for whatever it could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road, even though right now it's just a little machine shop or whatever. That can go away and they can put whatever they want to that fits in the book. So we have to understand the repercussions of any decisions we make way down the line. That can be mobile home subdivisions to homes to industries.
I agree with all that, but you still gotta consider the people that sit in this community to this day that pay taxes.
So my belief is having a future land use map will not only help the development authority and the county be able to look for funding options for different infrastructure projects and so forth, sewer systems, things like that, by having identified areas. Also, if something does come to the table that, may or may not be on that map, it gives us the opportunity to be able to say, hey, we really want that type of development here. And I mean like an industrial or commercial or retail development. Hey, it's identified to go over at this intersection, not in the middle of this area or this corridor. So it's just a framework to be able to say, if it comes, this is the area. I don't think, nothing is set in stone. This is not going out and rezoning anybody's property against her. It's not using eminent domain to take anybody's land. But it's just saying that, hey, I think that the meeting the other night was proving that we have to have something to help out on taxes. If we don't, where are we gonna be in 20 years? I mean, there has to be some kind of
Well,
balance.
not ruining what people move to the county for.
That's what he's not listening to.
That's what
The people in the county don't want this stuff. But he's pushing, he wants it.
I'm not pushing that I'm wanting it, but there has to be a balance in the, alright, so.
Can I ask a question about the
Well,
map?
I got a hypothetical.
Okay.
I'm good with that. So this year's budget, when it comes up, are we willing to cut the rec department or the senior center?
Well, you can't do anything on what ifs. I work with insurances, and if I did what ifs for everything that I'm gonna pay out somebody, I'd be messing a lot of people
If the funding is
up.
not there for taxes, you know, something is gonna have to get cut. Now,
So-
you know, my vote would be cut planning and zoning.
You know, some people are wanting, and you know, there's a lot of things you could look at. Why are we separate from the city? Consolidation would take care of too. I know that. I know that. No, my point is that's the what ifs. The what ifs. We can't do that. You have people saying there's money misspent here, or we could do this there. I think what we need to do is we're looking at solar, we're looking at all that stuff. I know what it takes because I worked with you, and I think me and you and Monica brought a lot of stuff to the table, and we did things in a quick fashion. I learned a lot of things through that process. I think that you have to cut things up in 5-year terms, 10-year terms. And if we're looking at 20 and 30 years, I have a child that's raising his family in this county. So yeah, that I want to take that to effect, but you got to cut it and lower it and then move yourself up, because we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years and 10 years. But the people that live in this community and put into this community to this day need to be considered what they want to happen.
Rachel.
I would like to, from the standpoint
Rachel.
that all people, I think the business part of the meeting is over. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the P&Z meeting. If people want to stay around an extra 10 or 15 minutes and discuss things, I think that's fine. I have no rush out the door. From the standpoint of people's time, I would like to entertain actually ending the P&Z official meeting. I make a motion already.
I second.
Any other discussion on that?
Do you mind? I'll bring it
All
back.
those in favor, aye?
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Granddaughter
Y'all would, if y'all want the next 10, 15 minutes, have discussion, we're not allowed.
I'd like to tell a story about how the county can change. When I built that 135-acre mobile home park, it's out near Ozark, Alabama, where Fort Rucker is.
Thank you, Rachel.
It was next to the little town of Newton. Well, the mayor came to me one day and said, "Look, I want to incorporate your 100-something families into my town because it'll